Hi there, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a mandala style doodle art. I got to talking with an artist friend here on YouTube, and we were talking about doodling. She does a lot of doodles. We decided we would do a project together and create a mandala style doodle art for the other artist to finish. The only thing we had to do was choose an animal. It could be any animal. And incorporate some kind of mandala style doodle. So today I'm going to show you what I created for her. And we're going to see what she created for me. And I'm so excited. I cannot wait to find out. This project was so much fun. It was so relaxing. I was surprised how relaxing this was. Without further ado, if you are not familiar with Tara Giblin Art, I am going to link her channel below. And I will also have a link directly to Tara's video for her part of this collaboration. You can click on that and jump on over and see how she created her line art and how she colorized mine. So if you're here from Tara's channel and this is your first time, welcome. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you like how I colorize Tara's project when I receive it. So let's get to it. The reference photo I chose was this peacock, and I decided that I wanted to do my mandala doodle art on my iPad. So I created mine digitally. I chose Procreate, and I figured that way there, any corrections, I could work in layers. I saw this reference photo and I thought, put the mandala in with the tail feathers. That is what I did, and I'm going to go ahead and let this just play so that you can see how I created it. To start off with, I was doing my line work, and you'll see it might flicker, or pretty soon you're going to see the reference photo completely go away. I'm just using the reference photo to help me get my line work in. And you'll see here I'm starting with the body. I am laying out the line work to go up to all the feathers. I liked the way that these feathers that are right about here going up the tail really already had a nice pattern. So I decided I wanted to continue with that and just emphasize the bits that are in the center. So you'll see I'm going to go through, I'm going to line this out, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to make marks for all of the center pieces. And just to get myself a nice pattern, and then of course Tara will fill this in however she feels she wants to. I chose a peacock because I know she loves blues, and I just thought the blue and the teals and greens, it was just a color palette that I thought she would really enjoy. So that's why I chose this. She might not even choose to do it in traditional peacock colors. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a pink peacock. I have no idea, but we are going to find out. But here I'm starting to go through, and in the tail feathers, the peacock tail feathers have those eyes, if you would, at the ends of the feathers. And then they have below that, all the little loose, the little frilly lines. And you're going to see I'm almost done with the reference photo. At this point, I'm finished. Now I'm finished. So I have my basic line work in. The next thing I wanted to do was make a grid. For those of you who know how to use Procreate, there's a much easier way of doing this. I freehand put my grid in and made a different layer. And I start going through and noticing, and I quickly realize I'm going to need to mask this so I can pull my peacock line work that I've done to the foreground and put the rest of my line art behind it. So I'm going to fill in the color so that I can create a mask. And as I am doing this, I quickly realize all of my line work is not necessarily whole. There were some gaps. So if you're doing something like this on Procreate, that is something to think about. You're going to want to make sure that all of your lines connect, because on my tail feathers, you'll see I just wanted to fill them because I could do it so quickly. If I could just grab the little paint bucket, fill the color, then all I had to do was tap that area. It would fill it with that color. I could then create a mask, and I could keep that in front of the line work so that when I created my mandala layer, if I wanted to later, I can use that as a standalone layer, and I am considering that. So if that's something that might interest you, once you see everything, you'll have to let me know. So for this here, I'm going to keep filling these in, and then all of a sudden, like, I know it goes quickly because Procreate will time lapse things for you. But as I filled it in, it was, when it wasn't complete, like all of a sudden the entire background would go green, and I'd have to quickly undo that and then find out where my line wasn't connected, make sure it was connected, and then I could fill in that space. So I'm just going through, I'm going to keep touching up those lines and keep filling this in until I have a mask where the peacock will be able to sit in front. And then I'm going to turn off that layer so that I am only seeing the mandala section, the layer of the mandala that I want to do. And I did a lot of mine freehand. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Procreate, yes, you're going to see me do some things, and there's a much easier way. I do know this. So don't fill the comments. Don't fill the comments. I do know this. I chose to do it this way because I wanted it to have that quality. I knew that Tara, I didn't know what she was drawing because we decided we didn't want to share with each other what we were drawing. We just wanted, we wanted that to be a surprise. We had to pick an animal, and it was like a Mandala Doodle. So I wanted to make sure that when I did it, it still had that feeling of like the freehand drawing, if you would. Now, I was able in Procreate to, create, like, you'll see me going through here as I'm creating this and then filling in the dark space. And I go along, and eventually I'm going to end up actually copying a section, moving it, and filling in the rest of it because I didn't fill in the parts that are like on the left side. I'm only going to fill in what you can see. And that's why you see me, I keep turning it on, keep turning it off. I want to see which sections need to be filled in. And then I made the decision, you know what? I want to do that whole circle, and I want this to be able to be a standalone piece. I make my grid go away. In a moment, I think it actually looks like I'm not doing anything for a moment. And you're going to see that right about here where these lines are here, when I turn that grid off so I can check my work, there's white lines separating the sections, and I didn't want that. So that's going to be me redoing the line. So it doesn't really look like a lot's happening, but that's what's happening at that point. I'm going to be filling in those lines, and that'll be here in a moment. As I went along, I wanted to make sure that I kept that feeling. You'll see the loops here. I knew this is going up the peacock's tail, so I wanted to kind of keep that feeling of the tail feathers. Like there's like the frilly ones that come off the tail. And then the in-between ones, I kind of kept in the theme of like the eyes at the end of the feathers. As I continue to go, you're going to see that happen as well. I am going to continue that theme, especially once I get up higher up in here. That's where a lot of the tail feathers are like, they're out and they're kind of random, like the spacing of the eyes and such. So I did a section around that had markings that looked a lot like the eyes and markings that looked a lot similar to this loop here, where they were kind of the lines representing like the frilliness of the peacock feather. So that is how I did that. I'm going to let this play out. And as this continues to play out, and again, you'll see me finish filling in the center of that mandala before it is over, so that I could have another standalone piece separate from the peacock or have them together. So today I am going to be working with the Ohuhu dual tip brush pens. I have not worked with these before, but in talking to Tara, as we decided we were going to do the collaboration, we started to discuss what we were going to use. Did we want to use the same thing? Did it matter? And no, it didn't matter. We could have used whatever we wanted to. But we thought kind of for consistency, both of us had recently gotten the Ohuhu dual tip brush pens, but neither of us had really had the chance to use them. So we thought, this would be a great opportunity. We both have the same thing. We could see how we like them. You're going to see me keep turning that on and off just because I'm double checking. And here I'm trying to decide what's the next layer going to be. I'm not sure. What am I going to do next? I decided I liked that butterfly style, but I liked the more elongated one. So now I'm going to change and make all of them very similar. And then I'll continue on. So we decided we wanted to use the Ohuhu dual brush pens. Now, Tara has a much bigger set than me. I think she said she has 120. And you'll see there, I thought about filling some in because I've seen some where there's dark spaces filled in. And I did that down here in the center. And then I thought, ooh, maybe you see I did the ring around there and then a little bit of the circles, the ellipses that are right in the middle of these parts. But I'm going to end up changing my mind. I think that no, I need to just let Tara have fun with this and see where it takes her. So you'll see here again, putting in the eyes. And again, my grid is going to leave marks that separate things. So I'm going to have to go back in when I see the lines. Like I move the grids and I'm like, oh, my lines aren't quite lining up. So I end up touching that up. But here you see all the little lines that I wanted to like resembling of the feathers, the real peacock feathers. So Tara's set was 120. My set is only 36, but I thought, you know what? 36 colors, that should be plenty to fill in, whatever she sends me. I mean, there's pretty good variety of colors here. So, and then they give you there's a card that comes with those. I'm going to bring that up so it can focus for you, perhaps, maybe. There we go. So we've got the Ohuhu 36 color dual tip markers. There's the all the colors that are available. And you'll see that the numbers skip around, and I'm pretty sure that's because those numbers are filled in with the complete set, but these are the ones that are in the 36. And then they give you a little swatch card, and you can fill those in, and the numbers do correspond with the numbers here, and those numbers are actually on the markers. So, again, I'm not sure what Tara has created for me, so I can't pick my palette until I've seen that artwork, and we are going to be taking a look at that very soon. You'll see here, I'm just finishing up. This is where I make it whole, so that this is a standalone, this could be a standalone coloring page. I mean, technically, it could be a standalone coloring page. And so here we go, the finished piece. I've got it here. And now I think it's time to take this, send it to Tara, and then see what she sends me. So once I see what she has done for her animal, we'll pick the color palette and then we'll get started. So let's take this, and I'm just going to send that off. And there we go. Now let's see. I'm just going to set these over here. Here comes Tara's work. I am so excited. I cannot wait to see this. I don't know what she's created for me. I don't know which animal. Well, we're about to find out. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, Tara, you did a great job. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. What do you guys think? Now I get to color all of this in. All right, we're going to do it. We are going to color this in. And I've not done a horse. So for this to be my first horse, this is awesome. Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, now hopefully she likes the one that I just sent her. This is excellent. It's just excellent. Oh, look at I love that. And where like it just comes around like where his brow, like that bone would be up here. We have the mane. I am really looking forward to this. Okay, so this is watercolor paper. We have this on, and again, this is on the Canson. Now the colors. So if I look at the colors here, and of course I'm going to test those to see how do they compare. Let's take these out because I'm thinking like inside the ear. You might want that to be lighter. And it's hard because I don't have a reference. So, and I could just do these. Like, I don't have to make it look like a horse as far as like traditional colors that a horse might be. I could do this as brightly colored or whatever as I wanted to. I don't know. I kind of want to stick to like a neutral palette. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some of these colors that I think I might use. And some of this I will speed up for sure. I'm thinking like a chestnut colored horse maybe. And I'm going to need the black. And you know what? I think if I want to put a little bit of highlight in the eye here, I may pull in a little bit of Dr. P.H. Martin's, which I don't know if she will end up using like a white gel pen, or I also do have a Uniball Signo, and this is abroad. So I may use either this or the Dr. P.H. Martin's. Now, I will say that I know Tara informed me. She did a test to check for light fastness with these markers. She was curious, and some of these colors, they fade quick. And I believe she said a south facing. She had them in a south facing window. So I'm sure she'll tell you all about it. So be sure to check out her video. However, I don't know if I want some like light. I'm thinking like maybe like a blonde mane and maybe kind of like the chestnut style or colored horse. I don't know. I'm thinking like, you know, some of the horses have like a white patch here, but I don't want to really leave it the white of the paper. So, maybe not. Maybe he won't have white. And I'm not sure how she's doing hers. So we have not seen each other's videos. Of course, at this point that I am actually recording, so of course she has not seen my video. But even afterwards, like we've not shared pictures of our finished pieces. We will see that in the videos when we see each other's video and be able to leave each other comments. If you want to see what she thinks of what I've done to her artwork, I'll be sure and pin She Leaves One in my comments so that you can see that. It'll be at the top of the comment section. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and fill these in on the card. I want to go at their mass tone, right? Straight from the marker. And then I want to see two things. And I may just grab a, right now I have one of my Artegria brushes because it was here. There's a little water on my desk. So I'm going to grab that, get my paint water. And I'm just going to get this wet and see how does this do. Can we blend this and move it? And I know this is on the swatch. I should be doing this on a piece of Canson, and it looks like, is that maybe my water? Hold on, I just want to make sure. I know I have some clean, absolutely clean water here on my desk. I'm just going to try another one of these blocks. I'm going to go over the numbers. Okay, so I'm getting some, oh, you guys can't even see that. My apologies. I was getting some graying here, and I think that there's on this paper. Yeah. So I don't know how great that is to figure out. I mean, you can swatch them right from the marker, but if I want to do that, that color is shifting. And this is something that I've been dealing with because my new tier on Patreon is going to include a watercolor dot card in the beginning at my art sample tier. So that's something you're interested in, of course, please do check that out. That link is always in the description. But my point in bringing this up is I've been trying very hard to make sure that whatever I use, it's not going to bleed. I don't want the color bleeding. Oh, and these, I will say, they actually post. These caps will post. That is great. So you hear them click. So if I take the and it is a very fine, I don't know how much I will be using that, but we'll see. We do have some small areas. And even, you see that? Even the fine will post within the upper cap. Now, it's not, that one's not going to stay, but if you're just setting it there while you're working, it absolutely would. So if that's important to you, that's interesting. And on the insides, if you guys can see how there's a circle down in there? So that needs to go inside that circle. And then that one didn't click like the other end did, but I did feel it get, there we go, snug. So, and that has a circle down there as well. And they do click. And they do post. So if that's important to you, then good to know. But what I was saying is on this swatch, this paper is horrible because once that is wet, it just feels like I'm going to be tearing up that paper with this nib. But I wanted to see, can I do a wet into wet? Right, that's not dispersing, but I think this is more of like a cardstock versus a watercolor paper. So if there's no sizing here and it's not pulling, it is not pulling that color. So we're going to try this on a piece. I'm going to grab a piece of Canson because that's what I'm going to be working on. So I want to test these colors on that. I can go back and swatch these just so I can see what it looks like in its mass tones afterwards, but you guys don't need to see that right now. Okay. I have used an Art Alternatives pigment liner, and this is a 05 to fill out my card. And I just put the numbers corresponding with the markers that I pulled. I don't know that I will use all of these, but these are the ones that I thought I might use. I put a line here so I can see how transparent they are, and I want plenty of room to blend them out, if I can blend them out. So we will start with, I'm going to put this aside for just a moment, just so I can see real quick. And again, I'm going to speed this along so that you guys don't have to watch the whole thing. But let me just zoom you in a little bit closer. And I will do those swatches in sped up time. All right, I'm going to note that these are not like, when I used the Tombow ones that were, the water-based, when those touched the wet wash like that, it took off. These don't, but as you saw, I can take a brush and I can bring the water in and I can blend that out very well. So it does blend. I can bring that down, get some really light values there. And now the other thing I wanted to see is over here where I left it. You can see where I started and then I paused. So I started and I paused. You see the line? I want to see how well does that cover when I go back over it. Because that was one of the things that I did not like about markers, was as I would go, that feels like it's going to start. It is. It's starting to pull on that line where the line is, and it's not actually smearing that pigment liner. It's actually tearing up that paper. So I think I'm going to have to be really careful. But if I have very little water on my brush, I'm just going to actually, let me cap this. Almost felt dry. A little bit of water. Can I get it nice and smooth? Like smooth out that. All right, so I'm going to try that on the next one because that'll give me an idea. If I get like a transition line where I paused and then started again, and that did leave red. That red came out of my brush, so it picked up some of that color too. I just have my water. And I could use a water brush. I just didn't grab one. You know, one of the brushes where you squeeze. And I'm sure, like, I don't have a blending brush, but I know, like, with my Tombow, like the Tombow ones, they have a water-based, and this is a blending, right? And that's just for blending. So I could use something like that as well. I'm not going to today because I'm just trying the Ohuhu. And if you only got the Ohuhu markers, you know, what might you have handy to use in your own space? So that's what I want to be conscious of. Okay. I'm finding this very interesting. I was really curious when I first started to see what I thought was black. Because it looks like black. The barrels are black. The ends are black. Should be black. It is not a single pigment. It is definitely not a single pigment to make that color. Because if you see, when I bring this up here, which is not a bad thing, again, you just have to know what you're going to get. You see the different colors in there? I mean, that could be lovely, but it's going to separate and move. And look at how the blues go to the edge and travel further down the line. I'm going to let these dry, and we are going to see. I'm not thrilled with how all of them are blending. You can see some definitely blend better than others. 35 just wanted to lift color. And you can still see the initial swatch that I laid down there, that rectangle. So you can actually see that on most of them. If I want the light version of the color, I think I'm going to have to just kind of go along with like outline. Maybe an outline on the spot, just the edge, and then bring the water in to lighten it up if I'm going to do it on the paper. I could grab a palette, create the color, and then pick the color up and paint with it, I'm sure. Which, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, I will show you real quick. Let me grab my ceramic palette. So one of the things I could do is if I took, and I'm going to use the black just so that you can really see it well. If I put that color down, and when I put this down, I can see that blue. It almost looks indigo when I set it there. So I'm going to have to double check the package and see if it lists the colors, like the color names, and see what it says. But if I grab some water, and I'm just going to put the water here beside that on the palette. So if you can see, all right, so there is water. I'm trying to tip it so you guys can see. I've got water on the palette. I'm just going to bring this in. You can see it travel there, okay? And see how blue it, like, it looks indigo. When I bring this water, it definitely has like an indigo look. Let's see what we get when I put it on the paper. So I can do that, mix the color, the lighter color that I want, and then I could come in. Look how different that color is. Wow, that is so different. So I'm gonna let this dry also to see what we get, because you might want it like this. This is looks like a completely different color when I put it on a palette and blend it. And I know the Tombow, if you get one of the Tombow mixing sets, it comes with like a piece of laminated cardstock. It pretty much looks like laminated cardstock, if I had to guess. And I'm just going to bring all this up here. I want a nice wet wash because I really want to see what this color does. I want to see if it dries and looks more like that, or if it stays looking completely different. So I'm going to have a nice wet wash that will hopefully distribute evenly. You know what I'm just going to tip the paper. Just kind of get that to, just moving it around. I just want the wash to kind of even itself out a bit so that we can see how is this going to dry. So there you go. You can see it's pretty even. And it already has this like granulating look to it, doesn't it? You can definitely see a separation in colors here. We're going to let that dry and we're going to see what it does. That is very, very interesting to know. What other colors might do that? This 45 might do that. I'm just going to wipe this off. They look like completely different colors, especially these two. Look at the difference there. And that gave me a little bit of hard edge. But if everything within the mandala is lined anyways, I don't mind. And there you can see, I did almost get a little bit of granulation in this one, which is really interesting. Really interesting. So different from here to here and from here to here. So I'm going to take these out of the way. I think I'm still going to work with, I'm definitely working with 46. I may see 93 come into play. 95. I want to try a glaze of 28. And you'll see me do that as I go. I'm going to try a glaze of 28 over 46 and see. 45 maybe, 35 maybe. And I don't know how much I am going to be using some of these others, so I'm just going to kind of set those to the side. Actually, guys, I thought I was going to use the black to do the eyes in some of these areas that are black, because I want to make them darker. But I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to actually just grab the Art Alternatives pigment liner because I already know it's definitely not moving. I could also grab a micron. It just happens that this one here is a 005, super tiny. That's just the one that's conveniently by my desk. This guy here is a 05, much larger. I'm just going to use this one for now because I already know it's not moving. So it's safe to use with this. I firmed up my lines. I may come back with the black at the very end. I don't want to do it beforehand because if I touch water to that, we know it will move and it will mess up, and I don't want to mess it up. So the permanent is there now. If I want to make that deeper, I may add this at the very end. Let's get some color in our horse.
Rusty red on her shoulder, I was cleaning her shoe when it clicked on the trot over in the bright morning dew. We brushed and we braided dandelions and chewed. It was a mutual arrangement we both saw into. Can she walk in the fire? Can she run in the rain? Can she make it up the mountainside? Can she make it down again? I have often wondered if she'll go and jump the fence. Will she keep on moving onward or stay in what could have been? Broke my arm in December, we were running for the thrill. You turned in the canyon to the snowbank where I fell. Even still I remember knowing she could feel it too. Was a mutual arrangement, we both knew what to do. She had a star on her forehead that was easy to find. When I let down her bridle, saw into her hazel eyes. We had a deep understanding, never had to use a bit. Was a mutual arrangement and an honest respect. Can she walk in the fire? Can she run in the rain? Can she make it up the mountainside? Can she make it down again? I have often wondered if she'll go and jump the fence. Will she keep on moving onward or stay in what could have been? Will she keep on moving onward or stay in what
Hey, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. This was such a fun project. Oh, this was so much fun. I encourage you. Grab some paper, grab a sketchbook, create a doodle. It doesn't have to be a mandala. It can be if you like. Um, just create, have fun. Just create. This was so relaxing. The process of filling this in, and just one more time, we'll take a look. There is my finished piece. Tara, I hope that you like how I finished your project. I thought this was wonderful. I loved it. It was a challenge. The markers I found a bit challenging. Now, I had a much smaller set than Tara did, so I decided to mix a lot of colors. So you saw me go in mostly mixing them right on a palette and taking a paintbrush to them. But, you know, you can. And it just goes to show you, you don't need a large set to be able to create. So use what you have. This was fun. It was a lot of fun. Let me see. Thoughts on the Ohuhu dual tip brush pens. Is there anything wrong with them? No, not really. And I think with this piece, if I would have had where I could have laid down that pigment and it would have traveled a little further or been easier to incorporate with the water, it seemed like I had to put a lot more, you know, I had to keep going back to get what I wanted as far as the color and the saturation, mixing it that way. But still, all in all, you know, show that to you again. I mean, the colors, you see, they are vibrant. I do like them. I do think they have their place. I don't think they are a bad marker. The link, of course, for these are in the description. You can check them out. I'm not sure what their current pricing is running right now. However, you know, it might be worth it. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you are here from Tara's channel, I'm going to pop another video up right here that you might like to check out. If you have not seen Tara's video yet, please, that link is in the description. Check that out. I'm really enjoying seeing what she's creating. I can't wait to see how she has finished off my piece. Till next time, my friends, keep creating, and I will catch you in the next video.